Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, I'm your host, Mrs. M. And if you haven't, make sure you click below. That way you can subscribe to my channel and receive everything you need to scale your cleaning business to six figures and beyond. Oh, and this is, of course, using federal government cleaning contracts to do that. So, like I was saying earlier, I was just thinking about my journey and how I had started the three cleaning businesses in various states. And I really didn't think about doing government contracts that much in the beginning because I just thought it was just too much. It was had to do this and register that and do this. And to be honest, I didn't know how long I was going to really stay in the cleaning industry. I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I'll do it as a, something kind of something to do until something else comes along for the type of business I want. Well, that was like 25 years later, or 25 years ago that I did that. And I realized that there were several things loved about this industry. One of them, it's recession proof. The second thing is you can leverage as far as having employees. So it's not like it has to be owner operated. I love the fact that you could give others, a career. I liked that. My favorite was that it's like residual, like you can set it up where you can have residual income coming in. So all of the things that I liked about it checked off on the box. Check, check, check. Now, I was still doing commercial, doing very well in commercial. And then I moved towards the DC area. I moved into the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and it opened a whole another like Pandora's box. A whole lot of stuff came out once I moved into this area and started looking at how lucrative and how everything kind of fit together with the government contracts. Well, I realized something, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. It is not hard, but it definitely is a process. There are steps that you have to take. So let's say you know that you can't get your DUNS unless you have your EIN. And then I've spoken to quite a few people, and this is the I guess you would say the challenge that a lot of individuals are having. Let's say if you are a sole proprietor and you live in an apartment complex and you need to have two documents in order to get your DUNS number. That's the number that the government uses it's like a unique identifier. It's a number that the government looks at to further have you as a requirement doing business with the government. It's a DUNS number. So you have to, of course, have your EIN, and that's through the government. And the EIN number is through the IRS, the government. Once you receive that, you have to normally register with your state, whether you're a sole proprietor, an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, but you have to register with your state. Now, once you have that, you want your state document and your EIN to match. The problem comes in is a lot of individuals that live in apartments, their landlord is just like crazy when it comes to them not being zoned to do business. Well, we all know that you're not going to do business in your location because this type of business is done outside. You're not going to have any customers come to your apartment or your location or your home. And then sometimes if you're renting and you live in someone else's home, you have to get the approval of the landlord or through the HOA association. And it can be quite confusing. Now, from what I have ascertained, understood, what I've ascertained or understood is that, let me turn this down because I don't want them to call again while I'm doing this. Okay. So what I've ascertained or understood is that one of the things you can do is if you are not registered as a sole proprietor, you can use a virtual address. A virtual address. Now, there's several types. One of the ones that I always talk about is iPostal. I think it's iPostal.com. iPostal.com. What I love about it, it's like $9 a month. You can use a virtual address, or you can look in your area and see if there's a physical building that you can use as well. And so you can make sure that you meet the requirements for the DUNS number. So you can have the EIN, and you can make sure that you have the DUNS number as well that match. So that's the most important part. A lot of people get a little bit tied up under that area. Their EIN, their landlord will not let them use their, they're like, no, you can't get a certificate of occupation in order. In a lot of states, you have your EIN and then you register with your state. And then before you get your business license, you have to have a certificate of occupancy from, like, say, the county. Now, when I was in the first state I started out was that same way. We had to have the occupancy license to go along with the business license. So it can be quite a bit of a process just getting your DUNS number, because you do have to have two documents that absolutely match in order to move forward. Now, once you've gotten that, so make sure you get that really understood, because you've got to upload, like I said. Now, you can do a utility bill. So if you are a sole proprietor and you are able to use your home, your apartment, your townhome, whatever it is, as your physical address, 2 thumbs up, you're good. The problem comes in is when you are renting or someone will not allow you to use that address and you can use a P.O. box. What are you going to do? So how do you prefer, let's see, hello, how do you prefer a HOP or a P.O. box, the process of a HOP? So you need to explain what a HOP is, or I don't know if you're HOP, I don't quite understand that, or a P.O. box. You cannot use a P.O. box for your DUNS information if you are if you're a sole proprietor. You cannot. They will not allow any P.O. boxes. I'm not quite sure what an HOP is, but please let me know in the chat there what HOP is so I can understand what that is. But basically, that's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is when you're registering with SAMS, home occupancy permit. Okay, so your home occupancy permit, that depends on if you can get a home occupancy permit, then that depends on where you're residing. Now, usually if you own your home, you may still have to go through the HOA association. I know I did, but you cannot use a P.O. box for the residents. Neither can you use it when you're registering with your state. P.O. boxes, they will not allow that. So if you are looking to be a LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, you will then be able to use a virtual mailbox and a virtual address. Now, virtual mailbox is different than only a virtual address. There's some buildings, like in DC, we have some offices where you can have your mail go there, and it's a physical address. So they're used to having all that information. The other thing is, I was talking to someone, they were talking about how many registered agents. So like if you are a registered agent, and you can then have it go to your registered agent, but a lot of registered agents are having a lot of mail come to them. So now they're stopping that as well. So if you have a registered agent, in which it's kind of hard to explain, but a registered agent is where all the mail goes if you were to have any kind of legal lawsuits, anything. Every business has to have a registered agent. Now, you can be your own registered agent if you are a resident of that state. If you are, you're registered in that state, you can be your own registered agent. Let's say I want to do business in Florida and I am a resident of New York. I would have to hire someone to represent me if I am not a resident of New York. So I hope that's not too confusing. So let's see, is it mandatory to get the occupancy license? I've never heard of this. It depends on your state. Some counties, now remember, it's all about the money. Some counties want you to get an occupancy license, which is crazy. But let's say, for instance, hi, Ms. Brown, greetings. So let's say, for instance, you are in a state that requires an occupancy license before you get the business license. They want to know where your business is going to physically be located. So let's say you're running your business out of your home, which most people do. They want you to have an occupancy license for where you're running the business. And like I said, if you are renting, your landlord may start all of a sudden think people are coming to the home, and they're like, no, you can't have anyone come, so we're not going to sign off. It can be a bit confusing with that, but definitely check with your state. Different states have different rules. Some states do not even require a business license. Some require an occupancy license. So it may not be mandatory in your state. That's where you want to check. So all of this needs to be done just to get the DUNS number. And then if you're looking at doing the SAMS, there's certain things you want to do with SAMS. And I cannot emphasize enough that the FEMA liaison is different than the disaster registration in SAMS. So the disaster registration in the FEMA is totally different. Okay. There are two totally different forms. So just trying to get you the basics to let you see it's not hard and it's so worth it. I cannot emphasize it enough, but it is a process. So I'm just on just the basic requirements on what I'm talking about with EIN, the DUNS, the SAMs, and then there's a couple other profiles that we actually go into. And then you get to the meat of it, which is the marketing to the government buyers, and then finding the solicitations and making sure that you do an RFQ, RFP, or an RFI. Request for quote, request for proposal, request for information. So, like I said, right now, FEMA in Texas looking for cleaning companies. I got this long list. They were talking about janitorial on there right now. And I'm quite sure there are so many other opportunities out there. I've looked at a lot of different opportunities. So when you're in this space, in this market space with government, and you're looking for GovClean contracts, the one thing you want to pay attention to is having the information very, very early in the bidding stage. That's where it counts. Having the information 2 weeks out before it starts is not really what you're looking at doing. You want to have it as soon as possible. So there are certain things that certain software that we actually have, thank goodness, that gives us the information when a bid is coming out, sometimes 2 weeks before. And that's what you want as well. So there's a lot of different moving parts, not hard, but just a process. So if you would love to know more about all of what I've talked about, the occupancy license and all of that, the EIN and the capability statement, which I haven't even gotten into, and the different parts of the capability statement and finding the RFQs and RFPs and all those R's, then I would love for you to come to the masterclass. Click the link, register. I promise I won't keep you on there long, but bring a pen and paper because my goal is to make sure that you have a takeaway with actionable items you can implement immediately. I love, love, love when I go to a webinar and at the end of it, I've got notes that I can actually do something with. That's one of my favorite things because my goal is to make sure that if you spend that time with me, you get something out of it. So if you're interested, click the link in the description below. Make sure you sign up and bring the energy. I'm an energy person, so come on there. Now, if you are a quiet person, I understand, but if you like energy and you want to ask questions, you can ask all kinds of questions about, oh, thank you. If you can ask all kinds of questions about GovClean, that's where I am talking about. GovClean contracts. This can literally change your life getting these contracts because I always say if the government, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, they talk about we are a small business if it's under 19,500,000. Guess what? Then we know what their scale is. If a small business is 19.5, then we know what we're looking at. So if that sounds like something would be a great fit for you, it's going to be this evening from 7 to 8. I will have you on and off in that time frame. And until next time, I want you guys to be safe. Take care, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. So make sure you click the register, okay? All right, take care. Bye-bye. See you guys.